Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here. My name is Ervi Liusman. I'm from the School of Hotel and Tourism Management at CHK. It's my pleasure to share with you my current project about the virtual field trip. And this project is a part of CHK's special funding scheme for online learning. And today, the topic that I'm going to present is about the field experience in the urban area in Hong Kong. So as we know, field trip includes any learning experience that occurs outside the classroom, and it provides powerful learning experience as it creates an excitement towards learning. According to her brother in Education with Teacher, she mentioned that field trip provides rich exposure to environments and vibrant locations that reinforce what students learn in classroom. My course is about the urban areas economics. Like geographic course in urban economic course, field trip is regarded as a precious learning experience as it provides students the chance to understand the complex urban economic theories, and the students can experience the atmosphere that are difficult to produce in the classroom settings. So because of this, I frequently bring my students to the urban area in Hong Kong so that my students can have the real life connection during this field trip. Nevertheless, having the physical field trip is challenging. First, I have to ensure the safety of my students because during the field trip, we need to walk along the street from one point to the other point, and we need to cross a number of roads, some with the traffic lights and some without the traffic lights. And from time to time, it's quite frequent that my students trapped in the middle of the traffic, like what is shown in the picture. But fortunately, our field trip can be completely smoothly, although I need to keep reminding my students to be very careful when they cross the street. And the second challenge is about the weather. As we know that weather condition is unpredictable. When it's raining, we need to use our umbrella or wear a raincoat. And the third challenges, which is the most challenging one this year, is the shift to online teaching. And since early this year, my class has been switched to online. My students were not able to return to campus because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which means that I could not organize the field trip. I could not organize the physical field trip. So based on these challenges, I start to develop the virtual field trip. In fact, there are several benefits of virtual field trip. First, it is cost effective because once it is produced, then I can use it many times. Second, it can be used in the class when the class need to be conducted online. And so far, I have conducted tools actually serves the same purpose, which is to show the students the real-world application of the urban economics theories in the urban area in Hong Kong virtually. The difference are with the conventional video, the students may not have much interaction and therefore they may not be actively engaged. But with the VR 360 video, the students can have more interaction because they can move around their electronic device to see the buildings in the surrounding. And if they have their VR headset, then they can move their head around to see the building. And the students can have more interaction using the VR video tour. Sorry. So according to the literature, the use of VR can be traced back in the 1960s in the entertainment industry. And later in the 1980s, there's a surge in using VR technology in the professional training, such as in flight simulator training. And in higher education, the introduction of VR began in 1990s. However, its practicability and financial feasibility hold back the use of VR in higher education. And in the last decades, because of the rapid advancement in the internet connection and significant technology cost reduction, there has been a surge in the adoption of VR technology in higher education. And nowadays, VR plays a key role in transforming the teaching and learning experience in the higher education because it improves the students' attention. VR makes learning more real compared to just show the PPT, and this can help the students to deepen their understanding on the theoretical knowledge. In other studies, there are also some research that try to examine whether the virtual field trip can replace the physical field trip. And in educational research, Spicer and Stratford carried out a study on their undergrad students from the areas of biology. They try to analyze whether the virtual field trip can replace a physical field positive about the potential of the virtual field trip to provide valuable learning experience. Nearly all of the students were insistent that it could not and should not replace the real field trip. And in the tourism industry, there's also a discussion on whether the virtual holiday can replace the real holiday. Liusman and Verhagen can also carry out this kind of study, and they find out the virtual holidays cannot replace the real holiday experience, regardless of apparent inconveniences and environmental dangers to the destination. They added that the virtual holidays can be used as a complement, but not as a substitution. So based on this kind of findings, the findings in the previous research, then the objective of this study to first examine the effectiveness of using the VR to enhance students' understanding of the urban economics in Hong Kong. And second is to examine the students' perception on the VR experience. So my study is an experimental study where I had two groups of students to do the test. The first group of the students is the undergrad students where they have their class online through Zoom. And the second group of students is the postgraduate students where the hybrid class was conducted. So half of the students are in the physical classroom and another half of the students need to have their class online through Zoom. And before the student view the VR 360 video, they were required to do the pretest question, which is shown like here. There are 10 questions for them to answer. They are all multiple choice, and I did it using the uReply platform. And after they finished watching the VR, they were required to do the same test, which is the post-test. And this is to examine the effectiveness of using VR to enhance the students' understanding on the concepts and application. And the second step is to ask the students to do the questionnaire survey through Qualtrics. And this questionnaire survey is to aims to understand about the students' perception on the VR experience. So talking about VR 360 video tour, Elite at CHK helps me to develop the VR. I named the VR as a walk in CBD and Wan Chai district. This VR is pretty long, which is about 1 hour. And because of that, we divide it into 4 parts so that the student won't feel too tired viewing the VR. And after they view one part, they can take a break for a while and then they do the other part. So basically there are 4 parts, which include Central, Admiralty, Wan Chai, and Causeway Bay. And they could view this VR through YouTube or Panopto video. Students can use different devices to view the VR, such as using the VR headset if they have one. And if they are in the classroom, we also provide a VR headset for them to view it. If they don't have the VR headset, then they can use their mobile phone or their iPad to view the VR, so they can move the device around to see the buildings. They can also choose to view it using the laptop or desktop computer, but they have to do the click and drag the VR to see the buildings in the surrounding. So this is our first result, which is the pre-test and post-test learning performance. So it shows the mean of the pre-test and the means of the post-test. From the mean of the pre-test, it shows that before the students view the VR, on average, the students can only answer about 4 questions correctly. But after viewing the VR, on average, the score is 6.4. And which means that they could answer more than 6 questions correctly on average. And some of them could even answer all the questions correctly. You can see that from here that the maximum is 10. This means that between, and the mean between the 2 tests, the mean between the 2 tests are statistically significant at 1% level. So from here, we can presume that the VR is effective enough to enhance student understanding on the urban area in Hong Kong. And for our second test, we use the questionnaire survey. Actually, I have 80 students in total. However, this study is voluntary, so the student can choose not to respond to the survey. And some of the answers are invalid. So at the end, I only have about 50 valid sample. So from our sample, we have 64% are female and 36% are male. And 58 students are undergraduate students and 42 students are postgraduate students. And for the device they use to view the VR, it varies. The majority of them use the laptops, which is about 30%, and about 10%, about 18% they use the VR headset, and 24% use mobile phone, 10% using iPad, and 18% using desktop computer. So in the questionnaire survey, there are actually 5 questions using the 5-point Likert type scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And when they are asked whether they have learned a lot, the basic concept and its application from the VR, and 86% of them agree or strongly agree with this statement. And 72% of them enjoy viewing the VR video. Interestingly, when they were asked whether VR is a good alternative to substitute the physical field trip, basically the result cannot show any clear patterns. Half of them agree with the statement, but half of them disagree with the statement. And this also applies to this kind of unclear patterns can also be observed in the statement number 4, which is about whether the VR can be a complement to the physical field trip. And I think that this is a very interesting result. And what I need to do is we need to do the further research on this statement. Furthermore, there's still a high percentage of the students would like to have more use of VR in the university teaching. And interestingly, when they were asked whether they prefer physical field trip to virtual field trip, the majority of the students still prefer the physical field trip. Some of them mentioned in their open-ended question, they said that they will prefer looking at the real skyscraper because it's more stunning. And some of them said that they can have memories through the physical field trip. And most of them still think that physical field trip is more interesting than that of VR. And this result, in fact, in line with the result of Spicer and Stratford, that the virtual field trip could not replace the physical field trip. So to conclude, based on our experimental study, VR is effective enough to enhance students' understanding on the urban area in Hong Kong. Students agree that virtual field trip is good and efficient as they don't have to travel and they can we can use it during the pandemic. However, it cannot be a substitute to the physical field trip. In overall, students still prefer physical field trip. So for our study, for our further study, we will continue to our study by collecting more data and carry out more analysis to have robust results. And this is the end of my presentation. And thank you so much for listening. Any questions and comments are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ervi. Thank you, Ervi. So, is there any question from the floor? Or you can type your question in the chat box. Let me see. Oh, okay. Okay, so maybe I start.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I wonder what is the production period of time for preparing this VR tour? Is it very time consuming to do so?
Uh, is it time consuming? I think it depends on to do the shooting. So that's why.
Sorry, Ervi, maybe there is some network disconnection from your side. So could you please pardon or pardon your answer?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that the connection is not very stable. Actually, I use CHK times one, but I don't know what happened today. Yeah. So basically, you know that when actually our productions start in May. We actually start doing to do the research and to do the script writing, but the real shooting start in June and then July and August, because there are 4 parts and it takes time because we have the production team need to do the shooting from Central and then Admiralty, Wan Chai, Causeway Bay. It takes a lot of time. So basically it takes about 4 months to do that. And but because of the outbreak in July and in August, so the production team need to stop for a while. They cannot go outside to do the shooting. And then after that, they need to do the post-production to do all the editing. So I can say that we start in May and then we finish in October. So I think it's about 5 months, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. So we got a question from you in the chat box. So it is what is your view that the face-to-face trip cannot replace the virtual ones? Is there anything that can be done on the part of educators to encourage students to enjoy virtual trips?
Yeah, this is actually this result is quite interesting because before I do the presentation this time, I actually did the presentation in CHK Teaching and Learning Expo in July. And at that time, you know that as I mentioned in my presentation here, I had 2 types of virtual field trip. The first one is the conventional video and the second one is the VR 360. And when I did the conventional video and I do the test to my students last semester, and then the result is very interesting. At that time, most of the students prefer the virtual field trip, okay? But this time, when I test again using the VR, and they prefer the physical field trip. Actually, I still think that it is a very interesting result and we need a further study. I'm not sure whether because at that time, everybody think that the pandemic is so serious, everybody is at home, so they prefer the virtual field trip. And this time, that seems that the outbreak is being contained, so they prefer going outside. Sometimes it's just too bad to stay at home all the time. So I think this is a very interesting question, and this is the things that I want to test further, actually. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you, Ervi. I'm looking